settings. Once you change the selection, try restarting OBS to see if your display shows up. We now have our desktop appearing here. If you're recording or streaming and you would like to include audio, we also need to add a source for your microphone or for your system audio. Let's click once again under sources on the plus icon, and at the very top of this list, there's the option for audio input capture. Let's click on this. For this one, I want this to be my microphone, so I'm going to rename it to microphone. Next, let's click on OK. On the properties screen, I can choose the device, and I'm going to select my microphone. Next, let's click on OK. I can now see my microphone in the audio mixer, and it is working. Here I can see that the audio is coming through. If I also want to record my system sound, I also need to add another source for that. Let's go down once again to the plus icon, and this time let's go up to the audio output capture. For this, I'm going to rename it System Sound. Next, let's click on OK. Within properties, I can choose the device that I want to capture the sound from, and I'm going to select speakers or headphones and then click on OK. Now that I've added system sound, I can see both my microphone and the system sound. Now that I've added a few different sources, you could start to see the importance of making sure you give the source an easy to understand name. Especially when you start getting many different items showing up in this list, you want to know what the different items are. Next, let's focus our attention over on the audio mixer. Here, once again, we can see all of the different audio sources. You can also drag here to adjust the levels. You can also mute or unmute the source, and you have some advanced audio properties here. To the right of the audio mixer, you also have scene transitions, and later on, once we add another scene, we'll come back to what you can do with this. But before we do that, let's start recording something so we can just see how OBS even works. Over on the right-hand side, we have a variety of different controls. At this point, we can start streaming to our favorite streaming service. We could also kick off a recording, and in a moment, we'll do this. We could also start our virtual camera, and there's something called studio mode. We'll come back to this a little later to see what you can do with this. Also, you can jump into settings or exit the application. For now though, let's simply kick off a basic recording. I've now started my recording, and you can see I'm now recording my screen. So all of this will be captured. While I'm recording, I can also click on this icon to the right of stop recording, and that'll pause my recording. Once I'm ready to record again, I can unpause, and that'll once again resume the recording. Once I'm all done, I can click on stop recording. Congratulations, we have finished our first recording. If you want to watch your recording, go up to the file menu up on top and then click on the option that says show recordings. This will open up File Explorer, and here I can see a recording. Let's click on this to see how it turned out. I've now started my recording, and you can see I'm now recording now that recording looks great. The one thing you'll notice though is this is an MKV file, and an MKV file, you typically can't open that in editing software, and it's not as easy to share with others. To be able to work with this file, go up to the File menu and then click on Remux Recordings. You can click on the ellipses over here and then select the file that we just recorded. You can then click on Open, and then once you're ready to remux, click on this button that says Remux. The recording has been remuxed. Let's click on OK and then close this window. If we go back to Show Recordings in the File menu, you'll now see that we have an MP4 file. You can very easily work with this in whatever editing software that you want. Now you might be wondering, what if I just want to record directly to an MP4? That's kind of a pain to record something and then to have to go to Remux. To be able to change the default, you can go up to the File menu, then click on Settings, and then let's click on Output. Within Output, under the recording category, you can change the default recording format. And here, look, you could change it to MP4. Of course, there's a reason why OBS sets MKV as the default. Let's say that maybe you're recording a 2-hour lecture. With MP4, if let's say halfway through the lecture, your computer crashes, well, you're going to lose every single thing that you recorded up to that point. With MKV, on the other hand, if your computer crashed, let's say halfway through this lecture, everything up to the point of the crash would still be saved. So in a sense, you can think of MKV as an insurance policy. Sure, it takes an extra step where you have to go to File and Remux, but that way you have a little bit extra security. Now, of course, if you're recording something short, maybe it's just a minute or two, feel free to go with MP4 because the risk of having a failure is probably pretty low. So whichever one you prefer, feel free to set that here. I'm going to leave mine on MKV. One of the things that you might have noticed in the screen recording is at the very beginning of the screen recording, I click on Start Recording and then I could minimize OBS. At the very end of the recording, I would have to open OBS again and then click on Stop Recording. If I don't want to show OBS at all, well, I could use editing software to cut out the beginning and the end, or alternatively, I can use OBS to set shortcut keys to both start and stop the recording. To set a shortcut key within OBS, go up to the File menu and then let's click on Settings. Within Settings, over on the left-hand side, click on Hotkeys. Within Hotkeys, you can set a shortcut key to start the recording and to stop the recording. Here, for example, I'll press Alt F2 to start, and then I could also press Alt F2 to stop. So this way I could toggle that key combination to both start and then to stop the recording. You could also set shortcut keys for pretty much any action that you could take in OBS. Here too, you could pause or unpause the recording, and there are many others. Now that you know the basics of how to use OBS to capture your display, next I want to show you some of the more advanced uses of OBS. And now I want to show you how you can build a more complex scene. I want to use the scene that we just created as the base. Let's right click on this scene and then let's click on Duplicate. I'm going to call this scene Desktop Capture with Webcam. Once you're done typing in the scene name, click on OK. I now have a second scene and I have all the same sources. I want to add a webcam, so let's click on the plus icon, and a webcam is a video capture device. Let's select this option. Next, I could give it a name. I'll stick with the default name of video capture device and then click on OK. This opens up my webcam properties and all the defaults look good. Next, I'll click on OK. My webcam image is now on the screen, but it is massive compared to the size of my desktop. To adjust this, down within sources, click on your video capture device and then you'll see a red rectangle appear around that source. Now I can click on the corner to adjust the size. If I want to modify the position, I can click on the item and then I could drag it on my screen. I'll continue adjusting the size just to make it